All right, welcome to this explainer. For decades, the medical community has basically known that obesity drives breast cancer progression. But the exact molecular mechanics, that's been a total biological cold case. Well, today, we're unpacking a really groundbreaking new study that finally identifies the specific molecular engine behind this link. We're literally shrinking down into the microscopic world, and it's a journey that's going to completely change how we approach the future of targeted medicine.
So, we've all seen the population-level stats and macro correlations for years, right? Doctors and researchers have clearly established the link between obesity and breast cancer. But correlation doesn't actually tell us how this disease spreads. We really need to find the actual physical chain of events, that microscopic supply line happening inside the body that gives this progression its power.
And it turns out, the answer boils down to just one distinct molecular process. Researchers have finally isolated the specific biological gears turning inside the cells. We're talking about exactly how inflammatory cytokines and altered lipid metabolism directly overstimulate pathways like PI3K. By pinpointing these specific molecular interactions, science has essentially found the engine of the disease. And hey, if you can find the engine, you can figure out how to dismantle it.
Let's jump into section 1, the obesity cancer mystery.
Now, this macro correlation is incredibly well documented. Actually, researchers have been tracking these population-wide trends for over 50 years. But they continually hit a brick wall when it came to isolating the cellular catalyst. Finding that objective, mechanical culprit at the cellular level, that was the absolutely crucial missing puzzle piece we needed to move from simply observing the problem to actively solving it.
Moving right along to section 2, zooming into the microscopic.
Okay, so think of the body as a cellular city. On one side, we have your standard cellular environment. It's a balanced neighborhood, hormone signaling is perfectly regulated, and cells communicate exactly like they're supposed to. But on the other side, the obesity-altered local terrain has literally completely changed. Between chronic inflammation and an inverted leptin to adiponectin ratio, the chemical signals are basically rewritten. This modified environment essentially acts as a set of totally corrupted traffic signals, giving cancer cells the green light to just move in and set up shop.
Next up, Section 3, the molecular drivers uncovered.
Just as a quick contextual refresher, a molecular driver is a specific biological mechanism or pathway that actively propels disease progression. It is not just sitting around as a passive bystander. It is the active force pushing the cancer forward. Imagine a car rolling down a steep hill. The altered cellular environment, with all its localized hypoxia and inflammation, is the steep hill itself. But the molecular driver, that's the engine that's fully turned on and actually accelerating the car down that hill.
This whole thing operates kind of like a microscopic lock and key system. Step 1. The local adipose, or fat tissue environment shifts. It starts acting as an active endocrine organ instead of just passive storage. Step 2. Those specific tissue changes act as the key and they activate the molecular drivers. Then, step 3, these activated drivers force the breast cancer cells to totally change their behavior and become highly invasive. It's a strictly ordered, sequential process.
See, the environment isn't just the physical place where the cancer lives. It's actually weaponized to provide molecular fuel. The shifted adipose tissue increases localized estrogen production via aromatase, and it pumps out excess lipids, which feeds the tumor directly. Because of this massive, high-octane fuel supply, the cancer breaks its normal boundaries and starts invading surrounding tissues. Understanding this precise sequence is a huge victory, honestly, because it maps out the actual enemy supply line.
Which brings us to our final section, why this discovery matters.
When you compare the standard environment to the altered one, the study revealed a really stark contrast. Expression levels of these disease-propelling molecules shifted drastically, literally jumping from a baseline of 25% all the way up to 75% in the altered state. This proves that the changed environment is actively and heavily turning the dials up on the cancer's progression. It is a profound, measurable biological shift.
And this right here is where the real hope lies for personalized medicine. Because researchers have finally identified the specific molecular driver. They know the engine and they know the fuel. Future therapies won't need to rely on those blunt instruments that end up damaging healthy cells. Instead, doctors are going to be able to design true precision therapies that go straight to this targeted pathway and just shut it down. They can directly intervene in that altered cellular neighborhood to completely revoke the cancer's green light.
So, we've moved from simply observing macro correlations to actually pinpointing the exact microscopic engine in our cellular city.
Science has found the mechanism and mapped the fuel lines. So the big question remains, now that we can perfectly map the exact molecular driver of invasive breast cancer, how close are we to disarm it entirely? The path forward is definitely clearer than ever, and the next chapter of this biological detective story might just be the cure itself. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.